will start tonight. So anyway, thank you for joining us tonight for Facebook Live. And we've been looking forward to this for a while, huh, Holly? Holly's with me here tonight.
Hello.
I'm in my favorite room in the house, here with my my guitars and amplifiers and things that are familiar with me, with old photos and Chet Atkins records, Merle Travis, Les Paul, things I grew up with, an old amplifier back here that was mine when I was just a kid. And they got some new amps here from Orange that they sent me, and boy, I love that. I bought this one here back around Christmas. And you know, I got my Zoom pedal here, so we are all set. And my Gil signature guitar, and we're going to be doing some things from the new Full Circle record. In fact, that song was also on there in Supertramp, and so it's called the Logical Song. And so there's nothing logical anymore. But anyway, I hope you guys will actually just send us some comments or questions or anything you may want to know, or what's going on with us, and or tell us what's going on with you. We'll be glad to answer any questions you may have. And but this was the one of the songs on the new record. There's a lot of and I use my signature Gil guitar on that, and we'll be talking about our guitars. The album is called Full Circle, and it all started with this old guitar right here. Actually, it all started with a Gil, and it kind of went around a circle, so to say. So on the new album, like I did last night, if you see, you got the sound hole there, Holly. This is my old Martin guitar that I got back from Roy Clark. He's gone home to be with the Lord. Him and old Roy Clark, Uncle Smitty, played this old guitar many, many times before. Over on that other shore. Play it, Dad. I remember talking to Tom Bresch. We were actually at the Merle Travis at the festival in Mountain View, Arkansas. And I was asked to be there, and Mark Jones was there. Of course, he works there in Mountain View. And I was talking to Tom, and I said I was actually trying to record some of those old tunes, and I just couldn't get that sound. You know, he said, "Well, Doyle," he said, "Travis did that on a pre-war Martin. You can't get that out of anything else." And not knowing that a few months later I'd be getting this very guitar back. In fact, I had talked with Roy's manager, and on the way to that festival, we were just talking. I hadn't talked to him in a long time. And So Barbara decided to give this back to me. So this is a real blessing. So it kind of went full circle. I had this guitar back when I was with Grandpa Jones. I inherited it from my uncle Doyle, Uncle Smitty. A lot of you know the story, and they did a story on it in the Vintage Guitar magazine not too long ago. Well, Holly, has anybody asked any questions or anything yet? Or?
Yeah, we've had several tuning in. I'm trying to go back and see the questions here. When are you going to be back at the Chicago Music Exchange?
Oh, man, you know, I was just talking to JT, Jonathan Thomas, when I mentioned Chicago Music Exchange today. Jonathan's he owns one of the owners of Gill Guitars. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'd love to go back up there soon. I hope it will be sooner than later, of course. And that's one of the bright spots, not only in that city but in the whole country. I mean, it's a wonderful place. It really is.
Eric says he loves the new album too.
Yeah, well, thank you. Is that Eric Johnson or another Eric?
Eric Moore.
Eric Moore. Well, thank you very much. And I think one reason too that I like it and I really enjoy this album is because something that Eric and I did on this record. I had played it for him and recorded it in this very room. I said, "What do you think of this?" And he said, "Oh man, why don't you let me put some violin guitars on there," is what he called it. And I used this guitar. And this is an Olson, and this is a Pernambuco. And I don't know if anybody knows what they normally use Pernambuco on, that type of wood. Now this is maple. It isn't amazing the different kinds of tone woods on guitars. This is maple, Pernambuco, which is rare. And the Pernambuco, according to Mr. Olson, is in the same family as Brazilian rosewood. And so the Pernambuco is more widely known as the wood that they make fiddle bows out of. So Andy Leftwich would know what that is for sure. And my son-in-law Jake, he knew right off the bat what Pernambuco was too. And so we use this guitar on that. Anybody else? Holly?
What pedal effects do you recommend for acoustic players?
Well, you know, I have some pedals right behind here that are great. I have a pedal that's one of my favorites. It's just an old RE2 Boss. I mean, it's a great echo pedal. I like a little echo. And I have a Strymon that Eric Johnson gave me. And then I have another reverb pedal by TC Electronics, the Hall of Fame. And that's a simple setup. But I found that I can get pretty much all of that with this little Holly, can you zoom in on the zoom right now, or I can hold it up? I started using the little AC3, and I'll be honest with you, I've tried to leave it at home a few times, and I thought, well, you know, it just works. It just sounds great, so I'm going to continue to use it. And here's why we were getting the distortion a while ago. You'd think I'd know better, wouldn't you, folks? But yeah, it's kind of one of these things that time just gets away from you, and all of a sudden, boom! It's 7 o'clock here, and but yeah, we have all the time in the world that we need tonight. So I don't want to keep you too long, but let me turn it. Now all I have in here is an LB6 and a volume controller that Lloyd Baggs made, a little preamp for this guitar. It's the same pickup I also have in my Gill signature model. Now here, I don't know if I'll play all of it, but for Eric Moore, this is the song that Eric Johnson and I did together. It's a especially by myself, because we did it in the studio, and I've not toured on this record at all. And that second part I messed up a little bit because that's Eric's part, but so I changed the lead down, and I still played the lower lead on that. But let me tell you about that song. It's called When She Came Back Around. The album is called Full Circle. So all these things kind of melted together, meshed together to call the album Full Circle. There's not a song on there called Full Circle. It's just the name of the record. But the reason for this song here is I had been praying to write a song. I had not written a song in a while on guitar. I'm talking about a guitar solo. And I remember years ago when I just could not write a guitar solo at all. I tried and tried and tried. Now I have dozens of them. But it was just one of those things. It was just all of a sudden the gift, the light was just turned on. But on that song, I've been praying to write a song, and I just couldn't seem to get it together. And a few days later, about a week or so, my daughter Heidi called and she said, "Dad, Sue Cruz, who was the White Rose Lady." Some of you probably, I know that tune. Is it? And that's why I put that at the end, because I wrote that for Sue Cruz, the White Rose Lady. She said, "Dad, Sue said, you've written songs for everybody in the family, but," she said, "but me. Your dad's written songs for everybody but me." And she went through everybody in the whole family. She said he wrote songs for Layla and Drew and Emmett and Emmy Lou and Lenny and Holly and Heidi and Haley and Rita. She went through the whole family. And she said, "It's time he writes a song for me." And I thought, well, maybe that's what this is all about. The next time I picked up a guitar, it came like that. Mostly in the next room over. I was sitting there on the couch. That's where I watched Gunsmoke. And it's kind of a joke around our house. And Holly's she just bought me a new Gunsmoke book today. But can you go get it? Go get my Gunsmoke book, Holly. And I'll just keep talking. And so anyway, the next time I got to this room and by myself with a guitar, I just started writing that song, and it just came. And here's my Gunsmoke book. Holly just gave this to me a while ago. That's like a Gunsmoke Bible. And anyway, how many times can you watch Gunsmoke? Every day if you want to. I mean, it's a great, I think it's a great cure for boredom for me, but maybe not for you. And you can, I've seen so many of them several times, so I can still practice my guitar and watch them at the same time. So, but that song is called When She Came Back Around, a song for Sue.
Florentine said, when recording a solo album, how many takes do you need to get a take that you can keep, and how big does a mistake have to be for you to start over?
Oh, sometimes they go all the way. Not very often, but sometimes I've gotten to the very end. In fact, there was a song on this record, I can't remember which one it was, it may have been that one, but right at the end I had to redo the ending. But a lot of times, I'll find a place, let's just do that section over again, and that's what you can do with the new technology. So yeah, I mean, I'm like everybody else. We don't always play it all the way through. Used to have to a lot more than I do now, especially when I recorded myself. But since Eric Johnson said, "Hey, why don't you come to my studio and record some?" And that was about 6 albums ago, I think. So I've been doing that ever since. There, and also David Huff of David and the Giants. David said, "You need to record in my studio." So I record some there, and but mostly mix and master at his place. And a wonderful studio in Georgia, Good Hope, Georgia.
Randall says, are you going to be doing any more of the teaching videos? And also his brother Larry, and he enjoyed seeing you when you were in Ohio in the spring.
Oh, well, thanks, Brother Larry. Appreciate that. Yeah, in fact, I had been planning on doing it. I ended up traveling some. I went up to see Mr. Olson about a week or so ago. And actually, I had 4 Olson guitars, so I turned one of them back into him. and it was another Pernambuco without a cutaway, and I use this one more, and so I gave that one back to him, and actually for what I paid for, he's a wonderful man, and so I think that guitar is actually for sale. I played it on the Grand Ole Opry. I use it some with the Booth Brothers, and I use it on 2 or 3 albums. I know I recorded. One of my favorite sounds on that guitar was a song I did called "Grace for Layla," a song I wrote for my little granddaughter.
We had a question about your thumb pick, which you just did a video on.
Yeah,
too.
my thumb pick right here, this is it's a Fred Kelly. This one I've worn my name off of there. But this is Fred Kelly's Speed. Is that a speed pick? Yeah, that's a speed pick. Yeah, they also have a slick pick. And I do use the slick picks. They're a little different. I don't have one right here in front of me. But I also use orange. They're a little bit different. This is a little bit harder, not much. This one here also has a really great sound. And those came out when we did the Lights of Marfa book. And Steve Lyons said, you gotta have Fred make you some orange picks, and they gave them away at the Country Music Hall of Fame. Is where we did the book launch.
And they also asked about your strings.
My strings are GHS, and I probably have some of those around. Let me go in my little stash here. Let's see. I have. I don't know where the other ones are, but I have signature GHS strings, and we're going to start selling these online. And in fact, Holly, if you'll show this, I'll go get those are for Nylon. And talk about those, Holly.
Thanks, Dad. Well, the GHS strings will be soon available at doyledykes.com, and also the Fred Kelly speed picks are also available there if you guys want to check out doyledykes.com store.
And these will be available very soon too. In fact, we just got the okay to sell these on our site, which I don't think I've even forwarded.
Yeah,
that
we're going to get all
you.
that set up.
But these are actually the first 2 strings on the Nylon are stone ground. And I'll show you that in a second. And the 3rd through the 6th are silver wound. And so on a lot of classical sets, the 3rd string is clear nylon, but on mine they're silver. And on these, they're just different gauges, phosphor bronze, that I came up with years ago and have been using them ever since. And they're wonderful strings, and they just work with just about any guitar that I had, really. And speaking of nylon, this is a Kirk Sand model, and a wonderful guitar. Guild actually was coming out with a Kirk Sand design. He and Tim Shaw, one of the guys with Guild and Fender, actually came up with something very similar to this. It looked a little bit more Guild-esque, but it was all like this. See if you can tell by that's not plugged in. In fact, if you go to Voices of Lee and look at their something they did for their director Danny Murray, and it's a song about grace. What does it say? Jesus loves me. Oh, how he loves you and me. Remember that, Holly? They did everything on their cell phone, and they had like 100 and something singers, and it all started with me playing Sorry. And it goes, ooh, and then you go into, oh, how he loves you and me. But if you follow that and look at that, it was all done on cell phones, and they never. I was plugged in a really nice board, SSL analog board. They never even used that. All they did was just use the guitar recorded on a cell phone. And it's an amazing sound. But and it was something like that. I did something like that on there. I changed it up just a little bit. But this is I'll tell you about these strings. Sorry I didn't tune this ahead of time. But let's see. I'll get a little bit different slapback. If you look, see, you can hear this. See, they're not just real slick. They're stone ground, which is a satin finish on the first two, and then the third through the sixth are silver. So that's a wound third, actually. And oh, I love the sound of it. into the studio and you get into it, and the arrangement just sort of makes for itself, you know, and you don't know if you can repeat it or not. So some of these songs I haven't played live, and that's it. In fact, it's the first time I think you've ever heard it. All right, Holly?
I love it.
Besides on the new album, beautiful song. Don't Cry for Me, Argentina. Woo, draws blood.
Patty asks, what's the hardest song you've ever learned to play?
Oh boy, you know, one of the hardest, and I couldn't play it now if I tried because I can't remember what key I did it in, but one of them was Let Me Fall, you know, the song that Josh Groban did. Well, that was a beautiful song. That's one of the hardest I've ever done. And I did it with an orchestra, and boy, it was just, that was, but what a beautiful song. But when you're done, it's like,
Justin was asking if you use acrylic nails.
you know, normally I do. This one here is acrylic, and these two are not. And, you know, pray for my nail lady, because she's been very, very sick here lately. And so I have refused to go anywhere else. So I actually glued these on the old school way. I just actually, and I used to do that all the time anyway. And before I met my nail lady, and I actually had a couple before her, but I started doing a friend of mine, Daryl Owens, out in California, said, you should do acrylic, you ought to try them. And that was about 20 years ago. I've been doing them ever since, but these are glue on, and about time for a new one, I think, between now and tomorrow night. I remember one time a couple times this happened. I was outside before I went in to play, and I had to glue a nail on real quick, and I'm doing this, you know, and well, I'm getting it on my other fingers, and all of a sudden I'm holding it like that to press it down, and I'm pressing up on this finger, and all of a sudden I couldn't get them undone. So, hey, Doyle, you ready to play? Yeah, be right there. Be right there. And I had to actually take my little penknife out back when we could carry those, and we could actually fly with them in our, you know, pants, in our pants pocket. But I would take that and just cut those fingers apart. And that's something, things that we do, you know. And it happened one time with the Grand Ole Opry too, except it was an acrylic nail, and it was time to, I'd been on the road, hadn't had any time. I think it was Haley, not you. You were there, Holly, I'm sure. But we were backstage. Ricky Skaggs was on, and a lot of times I'll do this type thing, and I've even seen Chet do that. I'll find something porous, and I'll, you know, or usually your pants leg, you know, and it popped off. It was on a garbage can, and I saw it, and Haley looked at me and said, "Dad." I said, "Hold this," and I gave her my guitar, and I ran to the back, and I put glue on there, and I'm like this. Here's Doyle Dykes, and God, don't let it come off. And we're on the Grand Ole Opry full house, and I played, and it didn't come off. And I can't remember if we were on TV that night, but testy times. Very testy. And these times are sort of testy a bit, but you know what? You get through them, and you press through, and you do it joyfully. You do it joyfully. Just don't glue your fingers together.
Debbie and Marshall Combs asked the $1 million question. What's your favorite Beatles song?
Oh, Marshall Combs. Oh, thank you, Debbie and Marshall. And I love those folks. Oh, man, I don't know. I mean, I have so many. I think While My Guitar Gently Weeps is still one of my very favorites. And, you know, I have to do that on 12 string, but I like... I've been with the same girl 47 years. So anyway, that's a great song too. I actually recorded that on Here, There, and Everywhere, which was a Beatles compilation record on Windham Hill. I wanted to do While My Guitar Gently Weeps, but they said someone else had picked that song. And then after I got the record, I noticed no one actually did it. So I could have done that song. But Girl turned out great. I love that song.
Tom was wondering about switching the bass strings on your 12-string guitars.
Yeah. I didn't know I was going to be doing anything. On my 12, I have a Godin over here that I haven't tuned up. And let me see. I can show you here. So I switched these around. Normally, these are backwards. So the bigger string is on the inside, but I put it on the outside, see? And that way, when you're doing a thumb over like this, you get the sound of the bigger string first. And something normally gets muted when you have two strings that close to each other, especially playing so fast. And on the bass side of things, you want that bass to be louder than the other one, or at least I do. And that's pretty good, isn't it, Holly?
Yeah.
Let's see. You know, I don't even think there's probably not even a battery in this guitar. It's, I think I robbed it. Sorry, there's another one in there somewhere. But let me see if I can fix this. Anyway. So when I'm playing it. And that's the best example I know to give, because you're keeping that going, you know. And this is kind of your bass player, and these are your the melody players when you're doing something like that. But having those strings switched around, and I apologize, I didn't know I was going to be playing this guitar, and I took it out, you know, but I usually leave one out anyway. Yeah, any other questions about anything?
Yes. Marty says, when you travel to different venues, how big of an entourage do you have as far as personnel, like a sound man, gear handler, etc., and do you travel in an RV?
You know, lately I have been traveling just by myself in a car, and of course I've done that for years. I mean, when I can have someone, I love it. I really do. But it's nice to be able to have. If I have a sound man, I mean that's great, you know. But usually it's either Andy Leftwich will meet me somewhere and we'll work together and do things like that. But he's a soloist, I'm a soloist, and we get together and make music, you know. And then when my son-in-law goes with me, Jake, sometimes he plays the bass with me, and so we just work together. You know, I don't hire. I should hire somebody. What's that song? It's Deeper Dead. St. Peter, don't you call me? I can't go my soul to the goodness store. I need a mind that's weak and a back that's strong. And these days I could use that. But anyway, Thank you.
I just think of the Cadillac Cowboys on that one.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, Cadillac Cowboy. Yeah, let me get another guitar out here that's really cool. This is one that my friend Kelly Barber gave me, and this is it's an early '70s, if I remember right, an early '70s Glenn Campbell model, and so I was in Texas when I was recording. Of course, I record over at Eric's place, and I had gone over to my friend Kelly Barber's place at Action Sound, and Kelly has, oh man, he has just so many guitars around, and he lets me go upstairs in this place where he has some guitars he hasn't taken out in a long time, and I saw this old brown case, and I'm going, oh my Lord, you know, is that an Ovation? Is that an old one? And so I took it out, and it's like perfect shape, and it's just amazing. It's the brown one, and the brown back, and so I said, Kelly, what do you want for this guitar? And he said, it's yours. I've just been waiting on you to ask about it. And so I took it to the studio and actually recorded it. Chet Atkins would have so done that song. I'm telling you, he loved minor songs like that. And in fact, I've been writing a new one because it reminds me of Chet so much. It reminds me of my dad. And that's all. That's all you get. But I love that song. I love the guys at Ovation too. I mean, they're very, very special people. Full circle. One reason I wanted to do that on the Ovation too is because I had the contract over here. That was the first endorsement that I ever had. It was in the 80s. And I have photos of me playing Ovation back when I was a very young man. And I always wanted a Glenn Campbell model, but I could only afford one, so it was the Nylon country artist that I used. And but I've had so much fun with this guitar, and so I did a song on the new album, Full Circle. So it's coming back to where I started.
And the
First
song is
endorsement.
called White Flag.
White Flag by Dido, and who told me about that? You did.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan. That's all right.
Well, I am too now. And I would hear Holly playing that on the piano, and I recorded on my Guild, and I'm thinking, oh man, I had a wrong chord. And so I had to go back and redo it. And so when I did, instead of recording on my Guild, I didn't have it with me at that time. I had this one, of course, because Kelly gave it to me. And so that's on the new record.
Which, by the way, is already on iTunes for download, and we'll have the CD copies.
Yeah, as of July 4th, Full Circle. You can go to your favorite downloading store, and whether that's iTunes or Amazon, I think about all of them. Any of the download stores have them, electronic. And so we'll have the physical CDs in our hands very, very shortly. Oh, they did a great job. Dan Migler did a great job on the layout. Holly did a wonderful job on the photos, as she always does. And we did everything down when we were doing the photos on this old guitar here at Songbirds. And it was at the Chattanooga Choo Choo. So we went outside, and I asked Johnny Smith, who runs the Songbirds Museum. By the way, if you haven't been to Songbirds, you've got to go. I mean, it's an amazing. And you know, there won't be a whole lot of people. I mean, it'd be social distancing, but you don't have to social distance around those guitars. I mean, they are absolutely stunning. They're beautiful. And so it's a guitar museum at the Chattanooga Choo Choo. And so we were taking photos of that, and Dan made the inside look like an old ticket, and it's just great. The song board, it looks like an old train, schedule board. So I'm looking forward to that being out. That'll be out soon. And the CD itself is an old Washington, D.C. decal. And, I've got things lined up. Say something, Holly. Say something, and you can focus on this old guitar if you want to.
The CD is awesome, and we can't wait to have it in our hands. But yeah, it looks really cool. The design's cool. And the CD cover came from this sound hole right here. So you'll see that very guitar on the cover. It's an awesome.
When I gave this old guitar to Roy Clark back in the 80s, he said I heard him. He said this in a magazine interview with a guy named Willie Mosley with a vintage guitar back in the 90s. He said, when I saw him walk around the corner and I saw the old stickers with Washington, D.C. and Miami Beach and all these old travel stickers, I knew what that guitar was. Because he loved my Uncle Doyle. And there's the CD right there, folks.
Yeah, I believe that this is the one. Yeah, right there.
So tell us if you think that would be good on cups or hats or caps or anything like that. And so we're making up some new merchandise. I also love the Miami.
Yes.
And Roy mentioned the Miami. And it's fun because I mentioned it to Mike Huckabee and also Jeff Carlisi of 38 Special. I mean, you're talking two friends that are so different from each other, and they just love each other, great friends. And I told them about this guitar, and they said, well, Mike Huckabee said, well, that should be in Vintage Guitar magazine. And about 10 minutes later, I get a note or a call from Willie Mosley, and they did the article not too long ago, and I think it was the April issue or May issue this year. And what's cool about this too is all this was featured in that magazine, and they'll still have the case and everything. So the CD itself will be this right here. But what's also cool about that is the same guy that interviewed Roy back in the 90s was the guy that interviewed me. And it's full circle. Any other questions, Holly? I'm sure we have some.
Yes. Michael Sloan says, do you still have the Del Vecchio you got while we were in Rio in the mid-'80s?
Do I have it? Oh, yeah, I actually do. And hold on, talk, Holly.
Oh, no. I'm sure you guys don't want to hear me talking or playing. That's for sure. We'll just check out all these cool guitars till you come back. There's a bunch. You got it?
Yeah.
And he's back.
It's funny because very, very shortly after I gave that guitar to Roy Clark, this old Martin, I left the church and went back into playing music. And I recommended a young man, my co-pastor pastored that church for about a year, and I recommended a young man named Mike Sloan to be the pastor. And he became the lead pastor there, and then went down to Florida, or South Florida, around Tampa, in Zephyr Hills, as one of our buddies called it, Zephyrillis. Zephyr Hills. Schwa, if you're watching, and Zephyrillis. But Zephyr Hills, and now he has another location down in, I believe it's in West Palm. Mike Sloan, I'm so proud of you and Tina. You've been a great pastor for a long time, but yes, I do have that guitar, and this is it. This is the old Delvaco, and you were with me when I got this guitar. And I also gave one to Chet Atkins, and if you go to, and also gave one to Steve Warner. And Steve used, I think Steve used the one I gave Chet on the album we did. He looked beyond my faults, but there's, what's the other? Danny Boy, yeah, oh, Danny Boy. And that's that Chet sound, you know. And that's it. That's the Delvacchio. Isn't that cool? Thanks, Mike. God bless you. Anybody else?
Yes, Randy says, I played with you and Pat Murphy years ago at Christ United in Mobile. Any old favorite you could play for our late pal? I sure miss him.
Oh, yeah. I sure miss Pat. Pat Murphy. I wouldn't dare get my banjo out. But I do have, I really wanted him to see, I got a banjo from Kelly, from Kelly Barber out in Hawkins, and it's an old flat top, not flat top, but ball bearing Gibson banjo, and I played a little bit though on Pat's banjo, and he said, yeah, well, yeah, you're not playing it like a banjo player, but you're playing it like a guitar player, you know, but it's still good. And he was very complimentary, but I said, well, show me how to play it like a banjo player. And he gave me some banjo lessons. Pat Murphy, gone on to be with the Lord. What a wonderful guy. And we would do songs now, and the circuit rider, and Pastor Jeff and all the folks at First United Methodist, Christ United Methodist Church down in Mobile, Alabama. But it's something like we used to do with the circuit riders, and I'm an honorary circuit rider. Don't you forget that now. But, Pat would have loved this guitar, brother. He would have loved it. Remember this one? Oh, Dad would love this. Oh man, that's fun, but it'll wear you out. Oh man, you know, during this pandemic thing that we've been in, all that kind of stuff, I promised it was going to be positive now. But we go through things in life, and you know, and oh Lord, our car got totaled, you know, but we got a new car. And the doctor said I tore my rotator cuff, but I've been building the muscles around it now and doing things I should have been doing anyway, and I'm good. And you know, it just, you go through things in life and you press through things in life, and sometimes you'll come out on top if you'll just trust God and you'll believe in Him. I've said it before on my website, I'll say it again, but at the beginning of this, I went back to the back of the house in our bedroom, and I looked, I had my cup of coffee, and I said, Lord, I was just thinking everything I had was canceled. You know, we had the Tacoma Guitar Festival, and of course, you know, the Copper Mountain and all these other things that we were going to do, the Chet Show, of course, and then I had Casey Treat's church, and then a Redlands for Easter, and the Calvary Chapel, and so many things, and just had so many good things to look forward to, and it was all gone, and just, you know, in a matter of a few days. And I said, Lord, what am I going to do? And I saw a little sparrow about that time land, and he landed on the wall behind our bedroom window. And I stood there and watched him for a second. I was drinking my coffee, and he pecked on something. And, well, what's he pecking on, you know? And then all of a sudden he pecked on it again, and it just kind of wiggled around. And I thought, well, that's a worm. And that worm was as big as he was, or as long as he was. And all of a sudden he pecked on that thing and threw it up in the air and opened his mouth. And that whole worm just slid right down his throat. And he kind of looked this way, and he looked that way, and he went, you know, and all of a sudden I knew God was speaking to my heart. You know, what are sparrows worth? You can buy 2 for a penny, you know, and yet nothing happens to that sparrow that God is not concerned about or that He doesn't know about. How much more valuable are you than many sparrows? And God spoke to me. He said, God's going to take care of you. And when He does, and in fact, He's going to bless you, and when He does, be just as content and happy as that little sparrow was when he swallowed that worm, the whole thing, you know. And I just sort of went, boom. But I knew that was a blessing from God. And it's true, He does. He takes care of us. I'd like to do a song. Oh, there's several that I was going to do. Here's an old guild back here that a fellow gave me. And right before church, he said, I have something I want to give you. This is tuned in F C, as F C, F C, F C. And for my friend Stephen Beasley, it's the same tuning as Howling of the Wood, you know, and where I do. But anyway, that's the same tuning, and I started playing. And it's a lot of fun. I love playing the guitar. As you can tell, I have an old Guild Starfire over here. So one of my favorite old guitars from 1962, I believe. 61 or 62, I don't even remember. When you get that old, it's like me. You quit counting, you don't have to think about it. And so anybody else?
Yes, Bud McKinney says,
All
hey, we love Bud. If there's a right time, or if you feel there's a right time, he requests be still and know that I am God.
Oh man, yeah. In times of tribulation, when everything goes wrong, we've acted on our senses, and it seems all hope is gone. Let's just stop our crying and talking foolishly, so we can hear his still small voice when he speaks so tenderly. Be still and know that I will be exalted among the nations. Be still, oh know that I am God. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts, oh, he's with us. You better believe it, he's with us. If he's with us, he's for us. Amen. And if he's for us, who can be against us, or what? Nothing. Be still. Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted in the earth. I will be exalted in the earth. be still too and know that I'm God. There aren't too many days during this whole pandemic that I haven't listened or read Psalm 46. Sometimes I just listen to the word, go to my Bible app, listen to 2 or 3 different translations of that, Psalm 91. And boy, that's very, very powerful stuff. A couple things. Remember our friend Sandy Renner in your prayer. She's my nail lady. And also her husband Mike and their daughter as well. And also I want to say a special happy birthday to Edith Nicholson. And that's my brother's mother-in-law. And we certainly don't want to forget, I wouldn't want to forget my mother-in-law, and I don't want to forget my brother's mother-in-law. And she's turning 90. Is it tomorrow, Holly? I know, it's very, very close. So happy birthday, Edith. And her husband, we have a lot in common. We have a lot more in common than he does with Aubrey, because he's a guitar player. He used to have a Gretsch, and he also played steel guitar. And I used to mess around with steel years ago, and his name was Doyle Nicholson, and he just got out of the hospital, but he's doing good. He's doing really good, so we're thankful for that. And they don't make them like that anymore, folks. And I'm thankful for my mother. Martha, she's still doing good. 92 years old. Love you so much. And God bless you, folks. And I hope you'll continue to play your music, make somebody happy. Tomorrow night, I'll be in Demarest. Is that the way you say it? Demarest, Georgia? Not Demorest, I don't think, but Demarest. I usually say it wrong. But it's in North Georgia, in a beautiful mountain area and hills area of North Georgia. Beautiful, beautiful. It's called the Torch. There's a church over there called the Torch, Pastor Mike Franklin. I'll be there tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. If you're in that area, and even if you're not, they said there are people flying in from Utah to even be there. Folks, people are ready for some live music, I think. And so we have some new ideas coming up that I've been sharing with some of the guys in the music business, and I think it's going to be a great thing. And go to our YouTube channel, and we're going to continue. Yes, I am going to do more lessons, and I am going to do, what's the song the guys been wanting me to do?
Return to Avalon.
Return to Avalon. I promise that'll be next. I'll do Return to Avalon. And so God bless you, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Holly, thank you for doing this. We appreciate you so much. And also my wife, Rita, and my son, Caleb, and Holly's son, Lenny, who are downstairs being real quiet. And so we appreciate you, folks. God bless you. Thank you.